Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Thursday Power Hour.
Hey everyone, how's it going? Oh, are you okay today, Ellie?
Yes, I am fantastic. A bit freezing, been raining all day,
Freezing.
but hey ho.
I like the new intro video.
Yeah,
Quinn livens it up a little bit
yes.
in there as well. Um, but yeah, welcome in everyone. Today we're going to go through pretty much anything to do with websites, tech, SEO. You have a question, ask away. Ayla has already procured a fair chunk of questions from people online or what people are looking for. So we're going through those. But if anyone has anything specific, whether that's to their website or more generalistic within the industry, please do just get in touch. So I'm Michael from E2E Studios. I am one of the developers over here. So I will support clients build systems or work on experiences which I guess a lot of people don't really think too much about until you have to start building a web-based business. And then we have Ailey. Ailey, if you want to introduce
Yep.
yourself, please.
So I am the designer, so I am making all the things look correct, staying on brand, and making sure that these guys don't disappear off and do something wildly creative. Um, I swear I boss them more than they boss me these days. Um, so what do? I look after your brand, your logo. I design websites and pass it over to Mike and the developers to make it function and be magical. And I also look after our social media and create content for our clients' social media. That doesn't necessarily mean that I make the strategy. It means that I create the content and post it out to make sure it is on brand and within your strategy that you should already have. So today we are looking again more at websites, and we shall kick it off with our first question, which was quite interesting to me, and it has been proven that not everyone has one of these. Is I don't have a website. Am I really missing out?
I mean, if you want a personal website just about you, then possibly not. I do know a few people, particularly within a lot of industries now, that do have just a personal website with their actual name associated to it, which can offer as a service for things like your own portfolio or your own bits of information as a space. Whether you mean as a business, which I imagine is more the relevant part of that question. I don't have a website. Am I missing out? Maybe, maybe not. It highly depends on the business and what kind of audience you're looking to attract. Now, if you are I'll generalize to an extent, but if you are a localized sandwich shop with huge amounts of foot traffic that go past next to loads of factories where there's a lot of workers for lunch, then possibly a website is not is not a need of yours. I mean, sometimes it's handy if people want to have a quick glance at a menu online and find some information, but I wouldn't say it'd be the defining factor of you and your business for that kind of event. Um, but they can help because right now, particularly with so many different versions of businesses, there is a lot of research that goes into trying to make even a purchase these days to even see that one, that they are authentic as a business, that they've been there for a while. If you're going to invest a chunk of money into a business, you want to make sure that they're not going to collapse next week, and that they've got a trustworthy reputation. So whether you have a website or not, I mean, having a website does allow a place where you can direct people to go to have more of a see about what's going on. But what it also does is it provides another opportunity for you to show people what you can do without having to utilize more of your I guess to an extent unpaid time. The amount of time that we spend or other businesses spend with clients that have to then show them, I don't know, every carpet in a carpet shop. If someone could browse some of those online, then that would save time.
Yeah.
Um,
I would also say that if you're relying on social media or like a third party platform to make your sales, if those go down or if they want to change rulings or something like that, then you are at their mercy. Whereas we've covered it before, you will own your website and you're a bit more secure in that sense. So if you are wanting to just sell on platforms, say like just off the top of my head, like Etsy, great platform, very well trusted. But if they decide one day that they don't want to do it anymore, then where's your alternative? So it is very much a case of figuring out where your clients are, what your business is actually going to be doing and selling, and how much of a benefit would that website be to you. Let's say that there's going to be a huge ban on social media channels everywhere. You can't post a product to sell. What is your alternative? What other source of income are you going to have for attracting your clients? So it's always worth considering. A website doesn't have to be huge. It doesn't have to have all the fancy features. It could literally be a shop window. So it's really much a case of find out what your clients are after, consider the different routes that you could go on, and then, plan it out from there. So yeah, Chris has sent me a private link to the Business Insider Australia, which is a fantastic example here because a startup founder lost $100 million by relying on Facebook
This
only.
Facebook, wasn't it? I read that article as well, actually.
Yeah. Whereas because he relied on that one platform and wasn't directing anyone anywhere else, the algorithm changed and that's him lost, well, $100 million.
Nope.
Stop touching things.
Shows are confusing, but it says show. It's not showing. That's just
Don't
moving.
touch it. But yeah, you can see as that's a fantastic case study there of relying on one platform and not considering anything else with it. Maybe he could have had a website where he could have gathered those people into a more private community, and then he wouldn't have had to worry so much about the loss. So that's a fantastic example right there of why relying on one platform for everything is not necessarily the best idea.
Yeah, now not a lot of people spent a huge amount of time putting into this, but some people did. If we look at platforms like Google Plus, so if anyone had used Google Plus, that was supposed to be one of the new social media platforms to engage with people. I don't know how much Google spent on that, but it would have been a lot. Either way, it didn't run for too long, and Google ended up closing shop on the whole platform. And then that's pretty much it. Now, I don't see the sites of things like Facebook going anywhere anytime soon, but audiences are wavering on those platforms to move to different ones. So whether that is looking at places like TikTok or Instagram or Pinterest or wherever, people are moving around those different social media platforms and taking there, but they're also becoming quite flooded now with a huge amount of people. I think that's quite similar to Etsy as well. Etsy is great, but you are also on the same platform as your competition. And what that generally drives from a lot of it is a race to the bottom costing perspective. If we look at sites like Fiverr now, which pretty much thrive on I'll pay for a penny to build a website. It's like, what the hell? People are just going to the bottom, and all it does is it makes people try and rush things or try and mitigate costs somewhere else, and it makes a worse experience for it than anything else. So I think there's a lot to be said, not about particularly getting your own website, but about branching out and having more availability on the online space to spread your wings.
Yeah, and talking about that as well as driving traffic is how would you kind of analyze it? Now, a lot of people have been using Google Analytics, but we have found something out that we will now jump into. Is Google Analytics illegal?
The summary at the moment is no. It's not technically illegal if you do it in the right way. So this question arises, and this was quite interesting. We're looking at pulling together a bit of more of a blog post on our site about it to tell people a bit more information about it. So we're talking Google Analytics, and I guess a few other parts of Google to those extents as well, like Tag Manager and Google Optimize and whatnot. Now, within certain countries, ours and pretty much the vast majority of Europe, so within the EU and some places in America, like in California, there is quite a lot of rules in terms of the whole GDPR. So what data can be collated, and do people give their consent to allow that data to be taken? If you were to create a Google Analytics account and just paste in the JavaScript code that it provides you, you are pretty much going to be guaranteed to be breaking GDPR regulations just by doing that. Now, the reason for that is as soon as you paste that code on, regardless of if people consent to cookie management or not, as soon as they go onto that website, their data is being transmitted to Google. Now, there is two folds to this information. Fold one is even if they consent to their data being taken, that data is being held in the US, which is subject to be unclassified by the US, and the government can actually just read that data if they want to, and they can make use of the information however they see fit. Now, that's a part of that is against GDPR regulations to have another country take elements of the data. The other part is that you can have on your site to block cookies or limit how much data is being sent to Google. Now, if you limit the data that's being sent to Google to remove all of the GDPR requirements, then yes, you are back to being GDPR compliant. But most services don't have that flexibility. It has to be something that's manually added into it. It's not just a given that is part of it. And additionally, cookies, or I guess analytics, aren't a opt-out system. They are fully an opt-in system. So if you have on your site, by using this site, you accept cookies, no, that's against the law. They have to specifically state, I will allow you to have my cookies. There is not an opt-out system. It is a fully opt-in system. There is some cookies that can be stored without opt-in. Anything that's about things like the website's login system, then that does not require things like cookie prompts. So yeah, we're internally looking at alternatives to Google Analytics for our clients and for ourselves internally. One of the ones that we're looking at the moment is our Matomo Analytics, which we're heavily researching and trying to work on, and that does adhere to Google, to the GDPR compliances. And one of the good things it does also allow us to do is it allows us to easily put them on client site, but if we hold the data, it's not being shipped over to America. It's not being shipped over to external countries. We're in charge of that data, and we've got it on EU servers, so we're pretty much protected. And what it also does is for a lot of our sites that don't have, I guess, any requirements except for the analytics, we no longer now have to do a cookie prompt because we're not storing or aggregating data for cookies. It's fully anonymized and it's not connected to any users. So that's the part that we're really trying to work on. There is a website. I'll add it into the chat in a little bit, and you can put in your website URL, and it'll also tell you if you get anything that is deemed illegal based on GDPR on your site. It's still a bit of a work in progress. It's not fully done, but the stuff that is in there will be correct. So I'll put it in the chat in just a few minutes.
Yeah. And we're not saying like don't use Google Analytics. We're saying use it, but use it with the right intentions, and make sure that you're not just slapping the code in for the sake of having some kind of analytical tool. Do your research and take the time to make sure you're not breaking anything.
Yeah, that's it. So I've pinged it over in the chat. I don't think it comes from on the LinkedIn one. I might have to do that one manually.
Yeah.
But there is a link there. So if you just put your website URL in there, it will tell you how compliant your website is for GDPR.
Brilliant. So now we can move into a little bit more in depth about some of the stuff that we can do. These are some questions that we've had before, and it's time that we start answering them a bit more publicly. Can you create custom payment systems?
Yes.
Yes. Next. I think a perfect example is a Train Me Live, if you want to go into a little bit more depth about that.
No, we've done it now. Yes,
done it.
We can do custom payment system. No, so custom payment systems. I mean, most payment systems are pretty much custom to users' requirements. If you think things like WooCommerce, which is a plugin for WordPress that does offer, I guess, some adaptable elements for custom payment solutions. It doesn't do everything that you may require, though, which is generally where we kind of get involved on a lot of websites, where we would make extremely custom functionality for what's being done. Whether that is a system where you could pay in lump sums, whether that's a system where you could use a toggle to buy credits within an internal system. That's what a similar system to Train Me Live has, where they can toggle for how many credits are appropriate. What it also allows you to do is use any other platform that might be not supported by WooCommerce, and it does support kind of the major ones, that your PayPal's, your WorldPay, your Stripe systems. But there might be some specific requirements that you want to look at doing, or you might even want specific requirements to happen after that payment's successful that isn't part of your WordPress or WooCommerce platform. So that could be you wanted to send out some very specific emails or send some very specific attachments, or it wants to schedule a live call for a calendar system. Now, there is a lot of these platforms, but they're all quite segregated. So if you look at Calendly, where you could do booking schedules, that also doesn't link into a shop system. So that's where we would do to bridge a gap and make custom payment systems, or just custom systems in general, that allow adaptability. What we also do is create systems that have a lot of rules based on it. So if we think of, so we've been working on a site quite a lot recently called Epic Tales, which is a online storytelling system. Now, this one has a huge amount of different flexibility depending on what kind of user you are. So as a free user or a guest, you get access to the latest stories for free. These are kids' stories, by the way. So you get access to the latest
but
stories.
We're not against adults reading them if you would like to sign up and enjoy.
Yeah, do it, is it? Yeah. The other one is if a person is a parent and they register for an account, they'll get access to more stories and content. And then also there is a different payment platform for educators. So if a teacher logs in, they get access to a huge realm of things that can support their teaching agenda for education. And they are custom payment solutions because it also does things like discount systems built in. It puts them on the right packages. It sends them different types of emails for different types of different packages. It gives them different access to external sources as well, things like different podcast versions from external sources. So that's what you would look at from a custom payment solution, or even if you want it to be integrated into your your point of sale system that's external to your website. Those are things that we can look at integrating.
Yeah, and payment systems, we don't really consider it when we're building. The normal person won't consider all the different things that a payment system can do. As far as the average person goes, we want the payment to be swift and easy. But these little personal touches as well also make you stand out. There's tons of companies that have really nice thank you letters that they send out. They can even send out physical thank you letters, which are kind of nice as well when you pick them up and you go, oh wow, look at this. So if you consider you've bought a product and you've had a really nice little thank you letter, your email saying thank you for the purchase is pretty much the same thing. And it's a great way to really sort of, let your customers know that you appreciate their sale, that you're not just taking their money and running with it. So it's definitely worth considering if you're building a site that needs to take payment. What kind of personal touches do you want? How would your audience kind of react to these personal touches? Would it be welcomed? Would it be seen as spam? You're going to know best about this because, after all, they are your customers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we are moving on to the next question, and I think you'll have a lot to say on this, Mike.
Okay.
I want to offer location-specific services. Can my website identify a user's location?
Yes.
Simple question is,
keep
and the
my
simple
answer
answer is
really
yes.
simple, just yes. So there is ways of picking up locations within users. Now, this isn't something that you can just tap into, and it's native. A user has to give consent to allow the location. Now, there's things we can do for, I guess, guesstimated locations. So that could be looking at your IP address and making a judgment of where that IP would be based, or even your browser's data that gets sent to it. The location part, generally you would use the geolocation tagging part, which you've probably seen if you've gone on different sites, particularly things like Google Maps, where it says, do you allow us to view your location? And those are the parts. Now, it can be quite awkward for PCs because they're not like the same in terms of going to radio towers like a phone would be when it's out and about. It usually goes to where the data services that's close by. But usually it's very, very similar vicinity a lot of the time. And then you can even go to micro levels of detail. And basically that data set will provide a geographical latitude, longitude, even give you an altitude if you need that kind of data. And then that's what we could use for sites. Now, we've built a couple of sites that use geolocation data. One of them we did as a search system, which allows people to find places to eat, drink, and all that kind of fun stuff. That one uses geolocation because the whole point of that system is to only find places that are physically close to you. So that one does allow that kind of flexibility. So you can get users' locations, and then there's also ways to track users' location as they move. So if you think of things like Uber or all those parts of Elements, those have similar functionality built in. There is a difference between what data can be collated. So if we look at apps as an example, if you're on a website on your phone and it's tracking your location, as soon as you close your Safari or your Chrome or whatever browser you're utilizing on your phone, it'll stop pulling your location. Apps are different. So apps can also pull what's classified as background location. So as you move your app and turn it off, it'll continue to track the location regardless of that one as well. Again, it all has to be consented to it, but do double check because a lot of people have their just background tracking on for everything and never actually look at it. I think now, I know on Apple, they do notify you every so often, say, do you still want this app to track your location? Yes or no. But that's the key part where we can track location-specific services. We're just working on a site at the moment to help them support to show relevant adverts within a location-specific area as well. So yeah, all is possible with it. It just depends on what depth of detail you want to go to and whether it's something that would be best to be done within a native website or within an app.
Yep. And remember, if you are going to offer location services, make sure that you update it if it changes, because there is nothing worse than, putting in a location and you go to it and the place is shut or the place doesn't exist anymore. So please remember to update it, because that can be one of the worst experiences and you will lose your foot traffic and your customers. Okay.
Yep.
So let's move on to the next one. What ongoing support do you offer?
For our websites, is this for?
Yes, I would say let's just go with our websites and anything else that comes to mind.
We don't always offer ongoing support. We pretty much tailor it to our clients' needs. Now we have a client at the moment who are coders themselves, so they've come to us to create their site and their structure and their security systems. But although we host it, we don't really do any support. They've continued to do that themselves because they have the technology and the knowledge to do that, and they've hired some people in-house to carry on updating that going forward. So we don't fully do support unless it's something that's just been part of the request. Other parts that we do within support, we will, if we did something like WordPress elements, we would also continuously look at your plugins to make sure they're secure, update your versions. The one thing that we do support with in terms of ongoing is ensuring that your servers stay online and that we keep you in the loop if we need to look at upgrading or even potentially looking at downgrading if that's something you want to look towards. So in terms of support, we offer a huge amount. So the reason why we chose our name E2E we chose it to be end to end, so we can continuously offer support for whoever. So those continuous supports would be things like website development areas. It could be search engine optimization, and we do those in monthly payments, where we can continue to either create content, or we can support them with their content that they are creating to make sure they're more optimized and friendly for search engines. We also do things like social media posts, which is where ALA comes into more. So we'll support the content that goes onto people's social medias. And then we also set up the things like analytics that we were talking about earlier on, or any other kind of tracking metrics that is supporting a client's growth. We know as a business, we do pay for quite a large amount of premium services, which can be quite expensive, but when we spread them across our clients and stuff, then it's a real benefit for them to take them on, and there's no real additional cost to that unless they need something bespoke out of it. That's not within our standardized sets.
Yeah, and I will say as well, with ongoing support wise, we're always, a phone call or an email away. If you're having trouble with something, and we can help, then we're usually there quick enough to help you out. We also do like some consultation. So if you've got a website, you're quite happy with it, but you just want, maybe you've got some ideas, but you can do it yourself, but you're not sure what you want to do, you can come and talk to us and we can do a consultation session. On top of that, I'm always coming up with ideas, so I'll pass it by the team first and we'll decide, right, what clients would these kind of ideas benefit from and should we present it to them? For instance, we are not against traditional methods of marketing such as flyers. So there is some clients that we believe would benefit from flyers. We would go and have that chat with them and suggest, look, this is what we're thinking would benefit you. And why we do that is because we genuinely want to see these businesses thrive. We want to see them grow. We don't want to just be like, you pay us and we disappear. We're actually there for the long term, which I think makes us stand out very nicely from other.
Yeah, I mean, there's 6 of us now anyway, so we're continuing to grow and support people in a range of different ways. But yeah, a lot of our clients either message me on things like Discord, WhatsApp, text, carrier pigeon. I don't know how.
I love the carrier pigeon ones. I've got a collection of
it's not
6.
the window, they're fine. They're just nightmare sometimes. Though. But no. But yeah, people get in touch at any time, and usually it's a little bit of advice about, actually, do you think that this would work on my system? We are, or I am anyway. I'm sure that I try and ensure that the rest of our teams as well, really honest with our clients about actually what is in the best interests. Whether that means that we don't take on additional work, I'm not too fussed. I'd rather give our clients the right information and not take payments for services that I don't feel is necessary for them. If we just yesterday, one of my clients sent me over a SEMrush report, 60 pages of a SEMrush report about their website, about their SEO, and they wanted to look at getting it fixed. I just said I can't be bothered looking at it because SEMrush is ridiculous. It's a scaring tactic tool more than anything else, and the data that it collates is pretty useless, and it's hard to decipher for clients as well. It's not a good system that people use. And yeah, 60 pages of SEO is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Don't know what was in that report, but I don't mind not taking on additional parts. If it's better for the client, or to move them somewhere else. Now, Ale did touch on earlier on about the socials, that we don't really do marketing per se, in terms of a campaign strategy. So that's where we would look at different specialisms or specialists to support that as well, and move that away from our area if it's not something we feel is in the best interest of our clients.
Yeah. At the end of the day, we built E2E on being trustworthy and being honest. So if you come to us with an idea and it's absolutely rubbish, we will tell you that it's not going to work and here's why. And on top of that, with the reports we do, we try and take out all the fluff and just give you the very simple, this is what's happening, this is what we're seeing. Because let's be honest, a 60-page report is just not worth reading. It's going to be filled with loads of stuff that isn't actually relevant to what your business is doing. It's just going to be a general blanket statement, whereas we look at tailoring it exactly to what that business's industry is, what they're trying to achieve, as well as considering the audience. So some of these reports will come up with like, you've not got enough pages, but maybe you're just not a site that needs that many pages. Why would we add additional pages that are just going to be fluff? So that kind of leads us on to a nice question here, which I'm sure you'll be excited to talk about.
Lovely.
And I'm sure we can talk a little bit maybe about Quinn on this one. Our lovely guy who swears in our intro video. So, what is software development?
Oh my God, that's a large question.
That's a large question, but it's a fun question.
I guess anything that uses literally anything that uses software, regardless if it's Chrome or if it's a website or if it's Microsoft Word or whatever. But it's basically building something. We dictate ourselves as software development teams. So website and software development is what we probably classify ourselves as. We don't use a lot of what you would classify as traditional software languages. So that would be your C's in terms of what you would do to create your applications in Windows. So we don't really create a lot of those, but what we actually do is create solutions within web-based means. So web is still a piece of software, same as any other. And what we do is create them in terms of the development to make sure something happens based on a triggered event. A lot of it kind of custom based. And if you create a WordPress website, technically it's software development, or I guess more of a software build than a development per se. I would classify development more as building something that's quite unique or different or built mostly from the ground up in terms of the way it works. But I imagine people have different versions of what they would dictate to be software development. But yeah, we try and make sure that it works on different applications, different devices, different screen sizes, different browsers, all that fun stuff. That's probably what we look at trying to do to optimize it and to make sure that the software runs the way it should run and the way it's designed to run. And then we'd have to move into things like software testers and elements like that as well.
Yeah. And, a nice thing about being able to do that is that a lot of companies will use off-the-shelf solutions for content management, or they'll use it for, maybe an invoicing off-the-shelf system, something like that. And it comes with like all these extra features that you're never going to use or you don't need.
It's an interesting one because as our business has grown, we now go into the VAT registered territory, which means we have to start making sure that we've got taxes is making it digital. So we have to start using online solutions for our payments, things like Zoho and other ones. Now we've just moved over to a platform for ours. What are we using? I can't remember which one it is now, actually. Probably need to find out. So we just moved. Hey?
That would be good to know.
Yeah. I don't know why I can't remember. I don't use it, and there's a reason why I don't use it that much. So our invoices get through it because it's tied to our bank account. However, so we were going to start using it for our actual invoices for clients. So I went onto it to look at it. There is no customization for these invoices. Now, in our line items, we put in like the name of the product, the description, what type of payment is. Is it monthly? Is it annual? Is it per project? Is it per hour? You can't do any of that. It just asks for quantity. It doesn't ask for how it works. There's no way to add more columns in or the rest of it. This is what we mean when we start looking at software development and customizations, where you shouldn't have to be stuck with a system that doesn't match your requirements. You need it to be flexible enough that it supports you and your business in all of its different guises. So if you need it to have an additional part, yes, it might cost more now, but actually, how much of time and dedication is it going to actually save you going forward to look at a solution now rather than later down the line? And this is what irks me a lot of times, where we utilize these larger systems that just don't offer some of the flexibility. And as a software developer, I know why, because customizations are not a fun process when you have to try and build an application for, you know, hundreds or thousands of users that all have different businesses. You know, it's nigh impossible to get that, and you have to create a middle ground. Now, that's all well and good, but you know, if my business needs something separate, it's going to have to be custom, because these large companies aren't going to change for your singular business when they've got 10,000 other clients all with the same system.
Yeah.
You know, because it costs them a lot more to change even a small thing, because it affects every other business on their platform.
Yeah, and software development is an investment. It is going to cost, because you're getting something that is completely tailored to you. You're not going to have like Tom, Dick, and Harry all using it in different businesses. It's yours.
Yeah.
And that's really important, especially if you've got a really large team and you want them to do things very specifically. Then having your own software, you can train them up on that software, and then you're not getting any crossovers of, oh, well, when I use that system, I used to do it this way. You wouldn't have any of that, because it's yours and no one else has it. So there is the investment side of it. It is costly, but all you have to do is add up how much a month you're paying and how long of a period of time you're keeping that software, and you'll see that the costs do add up eventually. And again, when we do build software, there is support for that as well. So we're not just building it and disappearing. We are there to help you out. And you'll find that we're probably a bit quicker than some of these big customer service bases with the chatbots and stuff, because we prefer a bit of our human touch to things. I quite like the software development side of things. I'm not the coder, so I can't go into the technical details. And when I say that my guys are magicians, that is simply because when it comes to the technical stuff and coding, I am not allowed near it, because I will break it. But I do like the side of making it look good and tailoring everything to that person's brand, tailoring it to how the user's going to do it. Like make use of it. How would a user use it? Do we need all of the buttons in one place, or do we need to segment it? Do we need to show a middle ground, or do we need to have different levels of access? It's a fun puzzle to design, and maybe not so fun to develop when my designs require multiple levels.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff in there. I mean, I'm not a designer, as you know. I mean, I can make something look like a design, but I'm not very good at the original design. This just takes me back to last night. So we're preparing for World Book Day, because that's World Book Day today. And my partner decided, because she works in a school, it's not just in a random office, and decided this. She works in a school with young kids, particularly around like reception age, so it's like 4 or 5 years old. So she decided to create her own costume last night, which is to dress up as a sheep. So she's doing the main costume. Said, "Can you just do my mask?" I had to like go on Google, because I don't even know how you draw a sheep face. I haven't got a clue. And it wasn't. It was probably more of a scary sheep face than it was a cute sheep face. My son Dexter, he was like, "Yeah, it's cute," and he was lying. I know he was.
It's because
But yeah,
Dexter's very sweet.
designs aren't my part. But if I was passed over a design, which is what ALA supports us with, then I can make it look just as good on a coding part.
And I guess that also comes into the fact, that a designer is not a developer, and a developer is not a designer. So it's very rare that you'll get someone who's good at both. You could end up with a site that looks beautiful, but it just doesn't do what you want. Or you could end up with a site that doesn't look good and it's doing everything you want it to do. It's something that's often misunderstood when it comes to finding the right website designer for you, because I can't code, but I can design. Mike can't design, but he can code. And it's two completely different mindsets. It's two completely different skill sets that are required for it. And I don't know how many times that we've had people talk to us. They've gone, "I've spent this much money, and I don't like the way the website looks," or they've come to us going, "The website looks great, but it doesn't do what I want it to do," and that's because they've chosen one person to do all of it, and it's a very long process for one person to do. And often there will be corners cut, whereas I am very hyperfixated on design. So even if the guys build something and it's like a couple pixels off, I'm like, why? Why is it not where I told you to put it? So it gives two different perspectives. So when you do come to us for work, you're not just getting one person working on it. You actually get a team, and you get a team with different skill sets, which means that you get a pretty well-rounded website, in my opinion. And I've worked with agencies that don't work like that, and it's never been to a good standard.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of have like a person who's focused on the site as a core part, but yeah, that is the benefit. Where I mean, even yourself, one of our team pinged you a message the other day saying, "I need some banner graphics. Can you sort them out?" And then sorted them out. And then that is the good part, that we don't have to just isolate to one person. We can move around our workload quite fluidly to an extent, and that's the reason we wanted to start hiring people with specific skills, whether that is an SEO specialist, whether that is a developer, whether that is. So we've just been looking at a contract with a person that is specifically, very hyper specifically, a Twitch developer. So there's a lot of things that we look at to make sure that we're getting the right version of stuff for our clients and the way it works. But yeah, custom websites are all fun. They're all fun. There's a lot of specific requirements that you may think that your website needs, and we've either got those solutions, done them before, or up for a challenge. That's probably what I actually quite like quite a lot about the software development of custom parties. Just trying something for the first time, thinking, I don't know, but I'll definitely try, and it sounds like a good little thing to work on. So yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, cool. So that kind of leads into, what is automation? Now, you are our brilliant mastermind of automation, and you come up with some absolutely fantastic solutions. So I think you will shine in this question.
Yeah, even as a coder, Matt ends up having to do the vast majority of these parts. But from my thoughts, so before E2E, I worked in a large group, and my role was automation and process improvement. So that was sitting down with processes and finding out actually where is there time to remove, sitting down with different teams and finding with them where they were going through a process, saying actually that could be done automatically without you having to do it. That might even increase quality, because I can see from looking at it that there is a lot of subjects for error in terms of the way you're updating something. So my background is definitely automation. It works quite well with the whole software development as well, because my main part is to try and understand what is going to happen, and the next steps flows about trying to make sure it's versatile, but it also does the job that's being required or follows a set process or structure. Automation is just the process of making something automatic to an extent, or even just semi-automatic. It could be that at the moment you have to go on to, I don't know, 6 different websites, download a report of each one of those websites, open each report, get another pack where you have to move bits from each report into that pack and go through that process. There's probably elements where we can do 1 or 2 things here. We could either fully automate it and it automatically gets the data from those companies, puts it into the pack in your desired format, and it's done. Or we might say, well, we can't get the data automatically from them, but you download those reports, and then the system will get those reports you downloaded and create the pack. So that's kind of more of a semi-automatic process. So there's loads of things we can do in terms of those parts, in terms of automation. We've been automating workflow systems for quite some time, where if a piece of work comes into a process, it will send it to a specific worker, or a worker presses get next work, and they will get the next piece of work in the queue automatically without having to fight. Some of those systems work really well, particularly with larger teams where there is a large processing center. You have the option for users or your team or staff to cherry pick and only choose the best work rather than the harder stuff, and that makes it harder. Whereas a lot of the systems that we work on mitigate that, because they automatically get work. The system tracks that they've got the work. System tracks when they finished a piece of work, and then goes for it from there. So automation for me is key. That's something we do internally quite a lot for a lot of our stuff, to make sure that we are keeping our costs low internally, but still running the same quality of stuff that we send
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
Even our invoicing, as I was mentioning before, we were going to use another piece of software. It's Zero that we were looking at doing. But we felt it didn't have the same flexibility, so we've built it in-house instead, which automates or semi-automates our invoicing, because I prefer personally to semi-automate my invoicing so I can go through it before I send it to a client, and I can send maybe some custom messages to the client at the same time without it just being pinged automatically and not having a personal touch to it as well.
Yeah. And again, we said how important personal touches are in business. When we do automation, we're not there to take you out the picture. We're actually there to help you and improve your services, which is really, it seems scary. It seems like a robot's going to come in and take over everything for you, but that is not the case when we do a project, because we understand how important it is that, some people just want to talk to a person. Like, I don't know how many times I've been stuck with something and I've contacted the center and they send me on a loop and I give up, and then that's me deleted that software, or that's me ended the contract. So we are definitely consideration of the human side of things. I find the automation absolutely fascinating. I have a background where I worked with an agency when I graduated. I have products on sale within my first year of graduating, and from there I've worked in different businesses in different industries. I've seen what the processes are, what the pros and cons are, you know, and from that I've managed to learn some very good processes, part of which is the human touch that Michael, and Matt are very insistent on with E2E. That's another reason why we're doing these lives as well, so you can actually see the people behind the brand and ask us questions, pick our brains. We're here to help you. So that's why we're here. We're here to help you. We're human. We're not robots, I promise.
I might be.
We just ignore Mike, okay? Just he needs an update later, so don't worry. So let's move on to the next question, which is, what should I be automating?
Okay. That's definitely a leading question here. So what should you be it depends.
The most hated word and phrase ever to use is "it depends," but unfortunately, it's the truth.
Yeah, I mean, what I would suggest to do is, if you think that there might be something that's automated in your business, or you want to just have a review of what could be automated, have a proper sit down and detail what don't detail, but just ballpark what your process looks like. And you probably already think about, different parts, saying, there must be an easier way for me to get these emails to clients, because it's the same email every time, and there must be a way to do that automatically. There must be a way to update my blog post and my social medias at the same time without me having to post my blog post, copy an excerpt, send it to Facebook with tags that you want, send it to LinkedIn but with tags on, send it to Twitter but with shorter text because there's not enough space but with tags on. Is there ways to automate that? Yeah, there's probably ways to automate it. So have a think about it, but then also think about how much time that actually costs you, not from a day's perspective, but over time. So if you're creating a blog post, 2 blog posts a week, and then you have to then copy that to every social media, how much time is that? Is that, 40 minutes a week? What's 40 minutes a week when you carry on doing it? Would those 40 minutes be better served elsewhere? And I imagine most likely the answer is going to be yes. Are you having to run, are you having to dish out work manually to your employees? Are you having to collate their data internally and try and work out who's done what and how many they've done, how many hours they've worked, and who was late for shifts, or whatever else those different parts are? All those things that you want to think about those automation parts. We were working with a client recently that does some parts on inspections, and he has to then manually go away and write a report. Most of those reports are quite similar with different clients' names and all these parts. What we've actually done is created him an online systemed form where he fills in a few details, presses a button, and it creates all that document for him, tailor-made for that client still, but with different checkboxes. So did they have this type of vehicle? Yes or no. If they did, what kind of check they have. Did it have issues? And he goes through a checkbox exercise now, presses a button, and it creates the report for him rather than having to manually create the whole report. Those are the things that you want to think about from an automation perspective. Am I doing something, the same thing over and over again? If you are, most likely it can be automated. Unless it's something like you have to walk to a shop every day, then maybe that's a small issue. But this drone deliveries, we can
we can look at drones. I think.
But yeah, that's where automation comes in. Think about what you're doing continuously. If you ever want a chat, please just give me a shout. Or if you have a question here and you say, oh, actually, I keep doing this. Is this something that can be automated? I'll answer it yes or no, or it depends. But no, generally I'll try and answer yes or no.
And if you come to us and chat to us about your website and stuff, and if me or Mike can see the potential for an automated system, we will let you know. Because again, we're here to help you. And again, yes, it might cost a little bit more in the long run, in the short term, but in the long run, you're going to be saving a lot of money because you're saving time.
Yeah, we had a client recently that came up to us and asked for this fairly large system that had all these different bells and whistles, and they got the data from another third-party software as well. So they wanted to then update all the details here with all the relevant parts. So we spoke to them about building it and saying, we can build it. There's a lot of elements, going to be a lot of forms that we have to fill in and make sure that the rules are there and all that kind of stuff. But what we actually did is spend time with them and saying, actually, let's just go backwards here. Let's just go backwards. What are you actually doing? Where are you getting the data from, first of all? And then they said they got it from a system called Captivate, if memory serves, which is a podcasting system. So we said, okay, Captivate have developers as well, and they have what you would classify as API endpoints, where places we can get data from. So we said, well, rather than you having to manually copy all the data from there, and we have to create a system around that data, if it isn't going to change from that system, we can set up an API. And that API now pulls the data automatically from the other system, syncing to it, gets the latest data, and now the client doesn't have to do any modifications. And oddly enough, let alone it's now cheaper in the long run because they're not having to do that. And they were pushing out 4 podcasts a week. So they'd have to do all that 4 times a week. They don't have to do that anymore. It's done automatically. And it was actually cheaper to do because we didn't have to build the form for it. So it's a different part. So just because it's automation, it doesn't even mean it's going to be more expensive. It might even save you money earlier, or it could be longer. It highly depends on what that process is and what it looks like. But yeah, if you think something could be automated, give us a shout and we can have a chat and see what it is.
I mean, everyone wants to get some kind of time back to do whatever they want with. We want things to be easy, not just from a client perspective, but also from a business perspective. And as a founder, we want things just to work. We just want it to work. And this is where automation can support you. So yeah, as Mike says, definitely come have a chat to us if you think there's some kind of automation that you want. But I mean, I have the belief that pretty much everything could be automated. You just got to figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, there's a question coming now about automation.
Perfect. Let's have a look.
Can
Chris
he
from
automate
Facebook.
my uni work? Yes, we can automate your uni work. We can get it to create all your articles and data. Unfortunately, it will be flagged for plagiarism, but there is a way to automate it. But yeah, there's so many things.
We are not endorsing cheating on your uni work.
We are not endorsing. Is it possible? Yes. Should it be done? No.
No.
That worked in a school. I remember when I was doing. I was actually marking people's like dissertations and exam results. When you go through it, we uploaded it all the essays and all the questions to a platform. I think it was called Turn It In.
Yeah.
And that platform cross-checks all different types of submissions for essays that have been done in all schools and all places around. And it finds out what percentage of that has been plagiarized. And it also gives you a link so you can click on it and find out who wrote the one that it was plagiarized from, or you could then dictate whether it didn't look like plagiarism, it was just similar. but it does all that comparison automatically as well. So yeah, don't plagiarize is the answer.
Yeah, don't
Can
do
it be
it.
done? Yes. Should it be done? No.
No.
And you'll most likely get caught.
Yeah. So the next question is something that both of us can rant and rave about, but we'll try and keep it nice and short, is what makes E2E Studios different from other developers?
Well, we got a whole 40 seconds to 30 seconds now to discuss that. I don't know if anything like specifically, calls us out from other developers per se. I mean, we enjoy what we do, which is really great, and it's really nice to be doing something as a career, which is something that is fun and enjoyable for us. On weekends, if I have some downtime, oddly enough, what I'll end up doing is coding something else for fun.
I mean, last weekend you created a plugin, for God's sake.
Yeah, I created a random WordPress plugin because I was bored. A few weeks before that, I started coding a game. So it's something that I actually quite enjoy, and I just get thrill from.
Yeah.
So that's part. We get involved in quite a lot. I mean, we're all in here like different types of gamers and have played a lot of different games and chat with our clients depending on who and what they are. So that's pretty much us. I don't think there's anything that specifically calls us out, but
this is the problem here, is that my guys are very, very humble people, and they don't seem to see the amazing things that they can do, because there's not many people that do Twitch development, for instance, and create these brilliant live interactive items. That for me is a massive thing, because I haven't seen, before I started working with them, I hadn't seen anyone create these kind of things. I hadn't seen anyone take time and consideration to actually make software for their own business as well. So like emailing or things like that. A lot of businesses tend to use, again, off-the-shelf solutions. So, if there's a problem or something that just doesn't work, these guys are here creating the solutions. And they're doing that in their spare time as well. So I constantly call them magicians, and I'm constantly ranting and raving about them when we chat, when I have one-to-ones with clients, because what they do is, as someone who's worked with agencies, who's worked with developers, I haven't come across any developers that have the same passion that these guys do and have the same integrity and the need to do more and to fix problems that these guys have. And the fact that they're honest. There's a lot of developers that will give you a blanket solution, and these guys, they're like, you know what, that's not going to work, so let's not even think about it, sort of thing.
I just get irritated. That's what it is. If I see something, I think there's a better way to do it. It mostly just irks me to the extent where I want to make something happen where it's not doing that. I think it's less that we don't like the solutions, just we get annoyed with them because they don't do what we want, and we say, "Oh, it's annoying me too much. I'm just going to do something else." And that's probably the benefit of being able to be a developer, is that I can actually just create something else if I need to, and I don't have to succumb to normality or people's requirements of everyone else. I think we probably best wrap up actually.
Yeah.
It says we've been live. Oh, it's because we got like an extra 5 minutes now, haven't we, on the live?
Yes, we do.
Thinking like it says it's over an hour. It's not 12 yet, so we've still got a couple of minutes. But yeah. So I mean, if anyone has any questions, please feel free. And then we're more than happy to help, whether it's trying to automate your uni work or not. Probably not. But yeah, I mean that's pretty much us.
Yeah.
I think next week what I want to try and look at focusing on is more about kind of SEO, more not simpler questions, but I guess simpler questions about actually how to do certain parts and some of those elements, rather than the more broad questions about what is SEO. And we'll start looking at specific questions about those parts and how we can help people.
Yes, definitely. So it would go amiss for us not to mention the crisis that is happening right now, especially in Ukraine. We are very aware of the situation going on. I've donated some stuff to a local drive that was happening, and we've also done a little bit of work for Lee Turner to support her in her masterclass. So I just want to quickly put these little banners up, and I will be linking in the comments as well, is First off, we've got Lee Turner, who's offering a masterclass. And from their latest update, this masterclass has raised over £17,000 towards aiding those in Ukraine. I will be leaving the links in the comments when we finish up so that you can click on that and you can go help them out with raising some more money. On top of that, we've also got Justin Welsh, who has pulled together a website, and it has all the charities that you can donate to and find out some more information. It's very hard to switch off from what's happening, and we totally understand, the world cannot come to a grinding halt. But if you're not sure what to do and you want to do a little bit of help, make sure you check out the comments and click on some links, and I'm sure everything will be appreciated.
Rightio.
So
Thank you very much, Haley. Right, everyone. Thanks for coming over today, and hopefully we'll see you guys next Thursday as well.
Yeah, and remember, if you've got questions in the meantime, you can come and chat to us. Connect with us on LinkedIn, follow us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of that kind of good stuff. And you'll get some notifications about when we're going live. On top of that, it's every Thursday at 11 a.m. Join us, ask us your questions. There is no stupid questions, because I'm pretty sure I'm the one that asks the stupid questions from time to time. So please join us next week, and thank you for joining us tonight.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.